what we're going to do in this problem, or what we're going to have, and I will tell you, you're not going to have to do the next step. I am just showing you why this works. But Brandon, you can just put that away because we're just actually doing notes for this. So you will not have to create what I'm about to do. This will be provided to you. But I want you guys to understand that sine of 15 degrees is the same thing as sine of 60 degrees minus 45 degrees. Would you guys agree with me on that? Yes? OK. So now, but what's important about that is I can evaluate the sine of 60 degrees, and I can evaluate for the sine of 40 degrees, 45 degrees. Would you guys not agree with, you guys agree with that, right? So if I can use the sum and difference of angles that I can evaluate for, then I have a formula for that. Or anyways, this difference of two angles, sine of u minus v. So the first thing I always do is I label my two angles that I'm subtracting or adding as u and v. Then you will have this formula sheet with you, so you don't need to memorize anything. But I'm just going to write out the formula just so we make sure that we're on the same page. Sine of u times cosine of v minus cosine of u times the sine of v. OK? And now I am saying u is 60 degrees and v is 45 degrees. So all I'm going to do is now just plug in those values into my equation. So I have sine of 60 degrees cosine of 45 degrees minus the cosine of 60 degrees times the sine of 45 degrees. Now, one thing that students get a lot of mistakes about is they want to do v as negative 45 degrees. No, it's u minus v. So 60 degrees is u, 45 degrees is v. This just, if it's positive or negative, just tells you which formula to use. Does that make sense? OK? So don't make that a negative 45. OK, now, I was teaching this last class period, and I actually did this exact same video, and I made a mistake. The reason why is because I got lazy. I got, what's that word, complacent with knowing my unit circle. I think it's very helpful, guys, when you're doing these, is just to maybe have like a rough sketch of the first quadrant, just so you guys like don't forget what these coordinate points are. So this is obviously 45 degrees. Right? You guys should be able to create the first quadrant just like that very quickly. That's why we did some of the practice over there. So the sine of 60 degrees is the y coordinate, which is going to be square root of 3 over 2. Cosine of 45 degrees is square root of 2 over 2. Minus the cosine of 60 degrees is going to be 1/2. And the sine of 45 degrees is the square root of 2 over 2. OK? Now, I will tell you, on your test and quiz, it's going to say evaluate and simplify. So I am going to ask for you to be in simplified form. OK? And my regards as far as a simplified form is combining them as one quantity. However, you also are going to have a, this also might show up on a multiple choice test, and there's different ways that this can be represented. So I'm going to go through kind of a multiple different representations for you on this video, just so you guys can see it. I'm not going to always do this, but for this video, for this kind of explanation, I will. Anyways, multiplying fractions, guys, multiplying fractions, you can just multiply the numerator times the numerator, denominator times the denominator. Now I have two fractions with common denominators, right? So I can just combine them. OK. This is an answer that I would accept. OK? To me, that's simplified. However, your book might also say, well, you could factor out a square root of 2 out of these on the top and the bottom. And that'd be left with a square root of 3 over 2 minus 1/2. You could combine those. Square root of 2 over 2 times square root of 3 minus 1 over 2. There's a lot of different ways that you could have that factored out. You could also factor out a 1/4 out of this case. You could also factor out a 1/4. I mean, I don't want to get like too crazy in here. But if you factor out a 1/4, you'd have square root of 6 minus the square root of 2. Sometimes you might see it represented like that. Okay, so just remember, guys, there's multiple representations here. I don't want to get over crazy on this, but when I'm asking you guys to do things, I just want them, when I say simplified, when we're talking about simplified, we're not going to deal with radicals in the denominator, and I want them as I want quantities combined. Okay? If you can combine your fractions, then you combine them. Okay?